Welcome to Shop Talk by Elevated Stylists, a podcast for the thriving community of stylists and salon owners, where we discuss topics in business, wellness, mindset, and all things hair. Join us on this journey as we elevate together.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Shop Talk. We are here with Alicia Soulier today. She is the co-founder and creator of Salon Scale. Thank you so much for joining us today, Alicia.
Thanks, Jody, for having me.
If you guys don't know what Salon Scale is, it is a smart scales technology. It is like a back bar tool that helps us separate our parts and labors so that all of our color is weighed and paid for right down to the gram. This is something that Sonia and I use in our salon. We've had it for the last 4 years and it has been a complete game changer. And Salon Scale is continuously evolving, and they have some amazing new features coming out soon. And we're going to be chatting about them today, and they are going to be helping us set ourselves up for success in the new year. So Alicia, do you want to give us a little chat about Salon Scale and what we can expect coming out?
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Jody. I'm super excited to connect with you and really talk. For those that are just learning about Salon Scale for the first time, I think, first of all, your elevator pitch is much better than my elevator pitch. Mine's like a long-winded Italian version that just doesn't stop talking, I think.
Mine's the consultation version.
I'm like, let me keep this I'll try and keep this short and sweet for the listeners of this. But essentially, 4 years ago, I was like many salon owners out there. I created a solution out of a problem I was having. So what I did was I created a software that measures color, like you were saying, in real time. And what it did was it actually made me question and get the answers. It was like that puzzle piece that we were missing in the salon space, which was, when I'm pricing my services, how much actually product am I using? How much color am I actually using? And instead of focusing on the waste all the time, we always had a waste bucket, we did it. I wanted to focus on, am I covering my costs? So Salon Scale was birthed about 4 years ago, and my life has completely changed. We have over 3,000 salons that have joined the Salon Scale movement, over 8,000 daily active stylists using our product, and every single salon that we talk to, they're truly finally fixing the leak in their business. We'll say they're fixing that leak, that black hole, that back bar that needed a digital solution. And so we, like Jody said, are constantly expanded. We started with just hair color, and now we are the only back bar management software on the planet that actually does the entire back bar. So we are going to handle your foils, your gloves, your treatments. Even if you have like extensions, we even offer extensions inside the platform too. So it's truly created by a stylist, by a salon owner, for salon owners and stylists. We believe that the product should be stylist first. So I love my salon owners, but I love the people that use our product every day. And so when we design things, we make sure it's intuitive, it's easy, it's not annoying, it's not repetitive. It's a thing that becomes such an easy tool that can get your staff on board to make sure that nothing leaves your back bar unpaid for ever again.
Yeah, and like we've been with you guys since the beginning, and we've watched it evolve so much over the years. Like anytime we are like, hey, like it would be really great if it did this. Like you guys really listen to us as stylists, which is so appreciated in this world, because I feel like we're forever like, hey, it would be easier if it did this. Hey, it would be better if it did that. And it's like, we're never being listened to. And I really feel like you as a company, you guys are out there listening to the people who are actually using it, which is amazing.
Well, thank you. I think there's a huge, like when you innovate a new product, when do you release it? Do you release it when it still looks like I always say, like, think about a vehicle. Like we always see the pretty packaged vehicle that's on the market for sale, but we don't see the testers. Like we don't see when they tested different colors, different layouts, different engines. And so what we call is like a minimum viable product. And so I, early on as a stylist, I'm all about aesthetic, right? So it was really hard to put Salon Scale out right away, because I was like, this is the ugliest looking app ever. But we had to go over function over design. And when we first started, it was like function over design. And through that process, just like you said, was we got feedback, and we had customers that were telling us like, oh, it'd be awesome if I had like a multi-stylist select. Like I can log in, and then I can like use, like if there's 5 of us, we can like log in and out of our accounts. So we started to put that in there, and other people that were like, I wish I had this feature, I wish I had this feature. And so we just kind of kept adding those things in as we had more customers using our product. And then very quickly, we got a chance to then focus on the design. And it was so much better to do that process because it put us into a position where we're actually building for our customers instead of telling our customers how to use our product. And so it's definitely a different approach. Coming from a former stylist, you always want to be like, you're not going to be like, I'm going to give you half the haircut and then you tell me how that is, and then we'll do the cut. Like, so it was like kind of a different way to run a product, but it by far was the best because now it's truly built by the community. The community is helping us as well.
Yeah. And I feel like too, you have so much business insight. And I feel like you're always helping the stylist and helping the salon owner kind of look forward and bring profit and know about inflation. Like these are the things that we hear, all these words circling around the internet. But it's like, do we really know what inflation is? Do we really know what profit is? So can you touch on those 2 things that seem to be like big buzzwords in our industry right now?
Absolutely. I think that really things kind of like out of sight, out of mind, it kind of came up and crept up on us, especially through the good old pandemic that we just faced. And I think really what happened is a lot of salon owners, the amount of time that they spend working on their business than in it is very, very low. So they're constantly being sucked back into producing revenue because they're not looking at a thing called profit, and the profit would help pay for them to be able to focus on the business instead of in it. And so when we look at, first off, the inflation side of things, inflation should be an annual task. And when we look at inflation should be like every year, if you are part of the economy, which you are paying people, you are paying yourself, you're contributing to the economy, economics state that there's an economic inflation every year. And it's anywhere from really 2 to 4%, depending on really where you're from. So you should, as a baseline, even if you're not ready to raise your prices, you're gonna need to at least do an inflation increase every year, every start of every year, to cover the cost of just inflation or the economy, right? And that base isn't going to pay you more. Isn't that the craziest thing? That 2% bump that you did is only gonna cover the inflation. If you didn't do that, you're going to lose 2% less, right? On average. So if you do not keep track of this, this is going to be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. After 3 years, it's already 6%. You're getting a 6% hit off of your supplies because you didn't increase it at that rate. So what happens is salons end up getting to that chokehold, which is like 3 years later, they're like, I can't afford these supplies. I can't afford what's going on. I can't afford payroll. I can't afford this, or you're in the struggle. So you do a big jump. You'll be like, well, I'll add 10% more, or I'll just increase my prices by $10 overall, and that should cover it, right? You're making up for the last 3 years of not inflating. And so what happens is you're going to just keep doing the cycle over and over and over. So I always say, like, those small little leaks will sink a great ship, but those small little steps will make big endings. So if you change your mindset and you say, every year when I start out with, I'm going to make sure my baseline pricing is always going to inflate every year with the economy. And then I'm going to treat price increases as like an incentive, as a reward, more than to cover my costs. There's a difference between increasing to cover my costs, and then there's a difference to increase pricing to reward a stylist, or to reward yourself for your education, your hard work. So I encourage you to kind of separate those 2 things, because I think it's really important. And then, without getting too long-winded, which I already am, profit. Profit, honestly, profit is how you live. Profit is how you live as a business owner. If there is no profit in the business, you have no lifeline. You have no future. You don't have anything that's going to give you, a retirement or a strategy to expand or grow or breathe, because the business is sucking the life out of you. And so I encourage you to step back and think, what am I worth? What am I going to get out of this in the end? Like, what does this business owe me? For my thoughts, my visions, my actions, my ability to lead others. What does the business owe me, and what do I want in the end? Am I going to sell the business? I'm going to expand the business. Like, what do I want? Like, what does my future look like? So starting off every year with that goal setting and that intention setting and that tracking helps you really make sure that everything else makes sense for you along the way. But I think sometimes we just jump into actions a little bit. We stay really stuck behind the chair. We stuck on the revenue. And it's like an endless wheel that's just going to get you probably paid less and stress more. So we want to figure out how to kind of unwrap that and focus on the things that matter.
Yeah. And we were talking about this a little before, like we, as business owners, if we're so stuck behind our chair and we're just working, and then we're also seeing that bottom line, we're getting no profit every single month or just making ends meet, you know, we're thinking we need to work harder. We need to do extra clients. We need to push our team to do more clients. We need to push our team to stay that extra hour later. And when we're dealing in this scarcity mindset and this fearful mindset, this is where burnout comes from. This is where stress, depression, anxiety, like all of these terrible things come from us not knowing what's going on in our business. And I think like being able to have tools like this really, really helps to make things a little bit more clear, because I know, you know, the first time I used Salon Scale and did a balayage and was like, holy shit, I just used $75 worth of color, you know, I would have never charged that. And then when you start thinking about it, okay, if it was $75 worth of color and I charged 300, and then I need to pay myself, and then I need to, you know, like you start to add like the electricity, the rent, the this, the that. It's like, what do I have left? Like that $75 should have been my profit. It should have been my profit. And so Salon Scale really, really helps to see that profit, to make sure that the back bar is paid for, to make sure that all these big transformations that we're doing. Sure, if everybody came in and got a root touch up and used 30 grams of lightener for their highlights, it'd be great. We would probably be okay, like we were maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. But now we're like multiple bowls, this, that. Everybody wants a transformation. Everybody wants, you know, to go back from blonde to, and these are taking multiple color balls. So being able to actually see how much you are losing behind your color board, that was a huge aha moment for me. And now moving forward, being able to see that profit every month, like it's so nice. It's very rewarding. I feel like I can take a step back. I feel like I can have less days behind my chair, and I can, you know, be a little bit less stressed out and feel more happy in my business.
I think it's also really important to know that you control your profit, not your accountant.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're waiting for your accountant to tell you how profitable you are, then you're not sitting in front of the right problem. Your accountant will help you with tax savings, help you with really, you know, understanding the core economics of the business and make sure it's organized. But you are the driver of the profit. You should understand what those, you know, what it costs you to operate and do all this stuff. I think profit, you know, when we look at it as an industry, like we were kind of talking about this before, which is we don't have the luxury. We have the most thinnest razor thin margins of profit in the salon space. Like we're talking, the average salon does about 4 to 8% profit margin. That's as much as they're going to do. So if you are a $1 million business, it's between $40,000 and $80,000. You as the CEO, as the founder, as the boss, that is what your salary, that not necessarily, that's your profit margin. So if you are paying yourself 40, 80,000, that means the business is making $0. So there's actually no profit in the business. And so we want to kind of really think about really, if we have a razor thin margin, then we have to be really, really picky on making sure that every single service has a profit margin to it. Like you can't just be like, oh, this one balayage I did today, I made nothing on, but the other 3 services I made, you know, $400 today at the end of the day. Like, why would you not want to make money off every aspect of your business? The other thing too, is just like you said, if you use $75 worth of product, and let's say you did that over the month. So like, let's say you used $1,000 worth of product, and you brought in $10,000 worth of service sales. Then once you pay your overhead, your all that stuff, that $1,000 that you thought was included, now let's say you made, like you profited, let's say you're 10%, let's say you think you made your $1,000 off that 1,000, which is off 10,000 or whatever. how are you going to replenish? Like, how are you going to pay? Where are you going to get the money to replenish that initial $1,000 that you used? You're now going to have to take all of your what you thought you made and put it back into replenishment. And so this is the number one thing that every salon right now doesn't understand in their pricing is pricing should be a thing where you're creating not an expense. You're not getting your expenses covered. You're creating cash flow. So instead of just charging like $10 for what you're using, like, oh, you're using $10, you should be creating an abundance of cash flow to replenish that product as well. Like a mechanic would never just sell you a bumper at cost. Like you have to keep paying for that product. And over time, once you go through that cycle, now the supplies are paid for. So now you're in an abundance, you're not in a loss, you're not on an expense side. There's so many different tricks of the trade that if we focus on the operational side of our business, we will definitely be able to be ahead. And it's hard because I think sometimes we haven't been trained this way, and it also doesn't excite us. Like, we're creatives and we love to focus on the things that make us feel joy and happiness. And a lot of it is emotional based, right? So how do we, lean into our facts and our data side and lean into that and find that joy? And that's just something that you can do each year by goal setting and looking in and finding the information that you've been longing to find out, and then find strategies to make sure you can execute your visions.
Yeah, like knowledge is like, it's so true. Knowledge is power. Like it really is. Like it's the most empowering thing when you learn how to, cover your costs. And it's the most empowering thing when it's like, my price list is for my business. When you start to learn these things, it's so empowering. It's scary and it's tedious, and it's like things that we put on the back burner forever, but it will keep knocking at your door. Like it will keep knocking at your door until either your business fails or you're so burnt out that you're done. Like you're just like, I'm done with this. So these types of tools really, really help put us in the driver's seat of our businesses. And we were saying before, like there's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in investing in yourself, getting help, getting coaches. Like that's where for myself, like 5 years into the business, I wanted to sell the business. I hated it. I resented it. Sonia and I were like at each other's throats because we were like, nothing's working. Like, and so we started being like, you know what, we need to hire a finance coach. We need to hire a life coach, a business coach. Like we need to reinvest in ourselves so that we feel empowered. And now we're like, our salon is running. We don't even have to be there. I'm not even there right now. Like that's awesome. But that was through the power of knowledge, through the power of finding out what I need to know to run my business the best. Let's talk about some of the growth and changes that are happening for Salon Scale and what we can expect to see in the new year.
So first of all, the number one request over the last couple of years was a more in-depth inventory system. So what we can expect is the very first usage-based back bar inventory management system. And why I emphasize the usage base on it is because it's going to be able to give you the insights and the actual dollar number of what you're holding in stock and what you're actually using. Because this is going to tell you, are you using 30% of your bar, 70%? What are you using? Now it's going to empower you as a salon owner, as the inventory owner, to only order things that you're actually using. Because time and time again, we're emotional, we're impulsive buyers and emotional sellers. And so when it comes to our inventory, what happens is like, here's a new intro cut, here's new hues, here's new this, and we're like, okay, consume. And then what happens is like 40% of it is just sitting there collecting dust, and it costs you a lot of money. So if we can give you more insight to what's actually happening in your business, you can make more educated, you can make an actual data decision, and you can go to your suppliers and say, we are not using this, therefore we're not going to order it. It allows you to kind of see that so that we can make sure that we're not locking our cash flow up in products that's not going to move. But I assure you, this is just the beginning, and there's so much more. And this is going to be the number one thing that every single salon needs right now, because there's so much fragmentation. Our industry right now is is got so many different types of business models. We've got hybrids, we've got co-ops, we've got commissions, we've got independents, we got suites, we've got, you know, team-based pays. We have so many types of businesses. And the one thing that connects us always is our supply, is our inventory. So giving ourselves an opportunity to make sure that we are making sure there's no leaks in any business and that we're inclusive for all types of businesses is really where we want to sit over the next couple of years. So I'm excited for that to hit the app stores here in the new year.
That is amazing. I love that because we're very frivolous with our ordering. Like we are very min-max like driven. But I still have a bunch of product that doesn't move, that sits on the shelf. So that is going to be so insightful for us as like salon owners or suite rentals to know what we actually use, what's moving. Like I know there are probably a million red shades that we do not use in the salon because we don't really do a lot of red colors, but they sit there, you know? So it'll be so great to have a function like that. So I'm very excited for that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you think about it, let's say 9VB is your most popular toner, and in the next 2 weeks, half your staff is on holidays. Well, now you've put like an extra $40 of 9VB in that month and they're all on holidays, right? So even as simple as that, that's $400 you could have saved by bringing it in when it mattered and when it needed to be there. And so sometimes when we have that stock it high, let it fly, it becomes a lot of cash loss because it's not making us have a just-in-time mentality. So where I believe the industry will go is instead of a just in case we run out, let's stock up $1 million worth of product. We're going to go from a just in case fear set to a just in time, which means just in time I need the product, it will be there. And that's really where we need to head, because again, those really razor thin margins, they can't support a just in case mindset. They can't support a impulsive buyer. They can't support a cash loss, a cash deficit salon. And so to make us have abundance, we have to focus on things that come just in time.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that because it's very wasteful too, right? A lot of these new products, like we carry Kevin Murphy, they have a shelf life, like they have a very small shelf life. So if we're just sitting on all this product and then we have to throw it out after a couple of years because it's not moving, you know, like this is going to be a great function. Amazing.
Oh, it's tons. And like, lastly on this, like you're going to get the facts and the data. So sometimes you might have a senior stylist that's like, we need like 30 more of these things, blah, 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 blah. So then like you get pushed to buy those things, but then it's only that one person that uses it. Whereas like the rest of them aren't. So now you've locked up because you have one person that's pushing orders. There's no facts behind the pushing. Like we don't need to buy a month's supply of products right now, especially if we're not getting a discount on. Like, do not overstock your bar unless you get a discount on that product. That makes no sense to buy 3 months worth of toner at the same price to lock up your cash, unless you said, I'm going to buy 3 months and I want a 20% discount. Like that is something like we have to kind of think about. So quit locking up your cash there. And only way to do that is we're going to give you those facts. We're going to give you the insights. We're going to, give you all the facts to be able to lean out that back bar, but make sure you're running a more efficient back bar.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's powerful. So to leave us off, we always ask for a tip, a trick, a takeaway. I thought maybe you could give us a little bit of your specialty for the new year. Like, what are some things that we can do to kind of set ourselves up for the new year?
Okay, so number one, invest in yourself. So we talk about filling up your own cup so it's abundant and it pours off to others. So go through your entire year, book your holidays and book your time off. So if you are like me and you forget about this, make a deadline. Like by January 3rd, I have to book my year of holidays. So that means I need to book at least 2 weeks off in the year and 2 long weekends. If you can commit to that, book it and let everything fill around that. Commit to it, at least make sure that's happening. So book yourself your year of holidays right off the get-go. Invest in yourself. The second thing is encourage yourself to set personal goals as a leader. How many books do you want to read? What do I want to find a new fitness center? Do I want to do I have a target? Do I want to what do I want to accomplish myself personally? Set all your personal goals. Then when you go into that, and you feel abundant, you feel great, and you have that out of the way, and you know you're feeling full, dive into your business. Use this time to look at what happened last year and what you want to do this year. If last year in January you hit, I don't know, $25,000 in sales and you want to grow by 10%, what are you going to do that? How do you trickle that through? Start building yourself like a target goals for the next year. Make sure that they're not like crazy, ridiculous goals, like just nice and steady, a little bit more than the last. And then make sure, again, that baseline, that inflation is set as well. So make sure that the base prices go up and your targets are set. And then basically all you have to do is just commit to every day hitting those goals. And take this time to plan the best you this year. And that would be my number one tip for you, is take the time to invest in you.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Alicia. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you everybody for listening. And we are going to be releasing some juicy webinars on our new membership platform with Alicia coming up in the new year. So please head over and join our new membership if you haven't already. We have lots of amazing tips, tricks, facts, lots of great stuff. So join us over there and we'll see you next time.
Love it. Thanks, Jody.
Thank you for tuning into this episode. If you love what you're hearing and want to connect deeper, we invite you to join our membership program on elevatedstylist.com/membership.